Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of After the Pause, our YouTube podcast series where we just talk about our book, A Place Called Braverly, but also just about what courage looks like in our everyday life. I'm so excited because today not only is my good friend Christy with us, but Jennifer Messenger is with us, and she is absolutely amazing. Christy, I'm going to let you introduce her a little bit.
Yeah, seriously, I'm so excited, Jennifer, that you were willing to join us for this. It's been fun for me because it's a whirlwind a little bit how we got to know each other. Like we know each other through a mutual friend, one of my teammates here, Amy, and got connected. She told me about what you're doing with Legacy Hope Restored, which I'll let you share more about. And then your business as a part of that, Arise For. You make these lovely earrings. Show them off, everybody. Yeah, so we got connected through Amy. Actually got to meet this last time I was back in America, which was super fun for me because I just find you to be one of the most encouraging people. And I know I told you that day that we met, but I walked away like truly my heart was just so full of like, I have this new friend that I didn't even know before Amy introduced us. And now like, this is just amazing. So I'm going to throw it to you. We're so excited you're here. Tell us about, who you are, what you're doing, whatever you want to share.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be with you guys today. I've been following your podcast After the Pause um, ever since you started it, and I always leave encouraged and challenged in such a good way. So glad to be here with you guys today. As mentioned before, I'm Jennifer Messenger. I co-founded Legacy of Hope Restored with my wonderful husband in 2012, right before we got married. We just knew that wherever we were and wherever we were going to live, because we didn't know at that point, we wanted to have missions a part of our life. And so we started this nonprofit. We felt led to Colombia, and so we sold all our stuff after having our son. So when he was 6 months old, we sold everything and moved to Colombia indefinitely. So exciting. We went to learn from the people there to see how we can come alongside them and just to listen and learn from them. And we discovered that education was a challenge for them and that there was a cycle. So parents didn't graduate from high school, they dropped out, started earning money to bring in money for their families. So they can't help the kids who are struggling now in school. And the ratio to teacher to student is typically 1 to 45 or more. So if a student falls behind, the teacher literally cannot stop and help them catch up so they can move on. So there's been a lot of dropouts. And so we wanted to help in that area. And so we simply just started a tutoring program that helps those who are struggling in school. And now we hear some incredible stories through that program of families being helped and dreaming again and having hope, which is really cool. After we started that tutoring program, we were called back to the States or led back to the States, I guess, which was a big shock for me personally, because my dream and plan was to be an international missionary. And so missions for me, I had that idea that it was international. And so I felt lost back in the States. What was my purpose? What was I to do? I was also pregnant with our daughter. And so life was just completely flipped upside down. And so through that process of like really asking God who you created me to be, how can I use that now? Arise For came forth. I've always been a creative person. God reminded me who I was and that it wasn't location, but it was just about loving people, and that I was born to be an encourager and to speak truth. And so through this small business, Arise For, where I make polymer clay earrings and accessories, I challenge women to arise for who they were created to be, to make an impact in this world. And so that's really the heart behind the small business, and a portion in every order goes to help legacy programs as well. So really excited about that. And Legacy just expanded to Argentina this year, and we're planning our first site visit over Thanksgiving week. So we're really excited about that. So a lot of great things happening.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to be totally honest. I only knew about the earrings. So I'm like, oh, what? Oh, that's amazing. I'm listening to this like and hearing it for the first time, and I'm like, this is
Yes.
remarkable. So tell me, what kind of involvement do you guys still have in Legacy Hope now that you're in the States? And yeah, so just talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So for Legacy, we are a smaller nonprofit. The communities we serve, the tutoring program in Cartagena reaches 50 kids, and the one in Argentina reaches between 50 and 100 as well. And so because we're smaller, we are able to get to know the families that we serve on a personal level. So we do yearly visits with them. We keep in contact with our contacts and leaders there who are running the programs, and we pour into them and encourage them as well. And the really cool thing about Legacy is, so our mission is to help families and children with education and basic needs, is we are just open to what the community is in need of and how we can come alongside them. So yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. I love that. That's amazing. I have one more question that we did not send you beforehand. But okay, so your earrings are amazing. They're beautiful. This is one. Christy has one. You also obviously have on some of your earrings. Okay, can you talk a little bit about the way that you name your earrings and how you get the inspiration there? Because I think it's amazing. And I just think it's also part of your ministry.
Absolutely. I have to start by explaining too how Arise Force started. It was from actually a mission trip to Lebanon where we were working with professional development for teachers serving Syrian refugees. And after our professional development trainings, we came together and we would do something fun to just pour into the women there and the teachers. And we were making earrings one day because we wanted to do something crafty. And what happened at this table was incredible. It's where we heard the stories of who these women were, where God has brought them. We celebrated together, we cried together. Community was really built. And I felt that was important to share and to bring back with me and to start. And so Arise For, each earring is named after a promise or truth or a woman who's inspired me and is living by impacting this world in a different way. So that's really how the names are come. Like this one is called Here Am I. And it's just a reminder that, when God calls you, I want to raise my hand and say, here am I, send me, and things like that. So just remembering those truths throughout the day when we wear these earrings.
I love it. I love it when I've seen like your website with the earrings and I see the names, I just immediately, I know that there's something more going on, and there's something, and even being like declared in this product and prayed for, which I just think is amazing. I think that that's absolutely beautiful. So.
Well, one of my friends too, they were talking about like making this bigger and, kind of like making it more a production. And I told them, I said, my heart isn't to make this a huge thing. My heart is to pray for the woman who ordered this, or for, like to really put that personal, that's where I come alive. That was the purpose. And so I want to keep it that way.
Oh, I love that, man. All right, everybody, now go buy all the earrings. Husband, I will also be buying all the earrings. I'll be fine with that. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, you're amazing. I could like just talk about just the ministry that you're doing and all the things going on there forever, but let's transition back to courage. Let's talk about what courage looks like in your life. So we have an icebreaker question that we ask everybody. And the question is, what is one of your irrational fears?
Okay. So I may be the only person who has this irrational fear, but basically anything that can snap back at me or pop freaks me out. Popping balloons. I mean, birthdays, I make my kids play with the balloons downstairs. Rubber bands, they are not allowed in the house. Felt balls from baseball, I'm the one who's ducking. Where my reaction has to be quick.
Oh my gosh. Has this always been the case? Like,
yes, I've hated, when you go and they want you to sit on the balloon and pop it?
No.
No. That hurts. That's like plastic snapping back at you.
That's so
I
funny.
understand the balloon thing though. Like, I hate hearing balloons pop. I'm that person, I blow them up for people's parties, but I'm that person who will take a pair of scissors, like stretch out the end and like cut it so the air slowly comes out. But even as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, don't pop, don't pop,
Don't
don't
do
pop.
it. Don't do it. Wait, so what about like, those like snap bracelets that you had as
Oh,
like a
no.
kid?
No. Why would I want to hurt them? Just put the bracelet on.
Oh, that is so good. You know what? I really have not heard of that irrational fear. You are
Well,
so
there you
sweet.
go. I'm original.
You are. You're so original and I love it.
Oh my gosh. If there was a prize for the greatest irrational fear, you are currently winning it. And I love it so much.
I know. That is amazing.
I'll celebrate that today.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so now that we know your irrational fear, let's turn again. Um, Tell us about just what are some fears and insecurities that you've had to battle, just with the things that you're going after, right? And just in everyday life, what are those fears and insecurities that often will come to the surface? And with that, how do you go about practicing courageous living?
Oh, that's good. Um, to be honest, I mean, I can come off pretty confident and secure in who I am. But the biggest insecurity I face a lot is actually the molds that I find myself addressing, molds of like what success would define success, how to be a good wife, a good mom, a good Christian. And then I constantly question myself, am I doing enough? Am I doing it right? Is this how it's supposed to look? And it's something that can really stop me in my tracks. And especially when I'm like looking at missions, like I can say I'm a missionary, but it's hard for me because I still have that mindset. Oh, but I'm not overseas and I'm not working with children, in need or whatnot. But so constantly have to break that mold of what that looks like. And honestly, too, my son, there is an incredible story I have to share with you because it impacted my life in such a big way. And my son is a big part of that. He has characteristics that fall on the spectrum. And though he isn't on the spectrum, those characteristics really affected and still do affect his life sometimes. So, as a mom, seeing your son stand out when he's little and to be left out because he is different or acts differently, it's hard and it's heartbreaking. And so, out of protection and love for him, a long time ago, I tried to stop him from being who he was. I tried to give him discussion points to talk with his friends about certain things or to stop him from his obsessive. Um, um, he would get really attached to certain subjects, dinosaurs, and then he would learn everything about them, things like that. I tried to like kind of slow that down a bit, kind of almost inhibit him because I wanted him to fit in so bad. And I ended up going to a conference where a woman sharing her story, and she was holding her newborn baby, who was recently just diagnosed with Down syndrome. And they had no idea. So it was a big shock to her. She's holding her little girl. And there was this moment where she said that she felt like the little girl was looking up at her and was saying, will you still love me if I don't meet my milestones? Will you still love me if I'm different? I'm sorry, it's so huge though. Like, I felt so convicted and I went home and I apologized to Gabriel and I told him that he was beautiful and that he was created uniquely and special and that he's going to be used in ways that I can't be used because of the way God created him. And from that point on, my life's mission is to help people know that we are all original and we are all unique and created with a purpose, and to be ourselves. We cannot be and try to be like anyone else. And so again, that breaking of the mold of what's normal, what's accepted. I think that's something that I face, and as you can tell, it's affected my family. But it's really God has spoken in that and through that in so many ways. So
No, that's powerful. And I mean, thanks for your vulnerability
Yeah.
in that too. Like, even as you're sharing, like, I'm sitting here, I don't have kids and that hasn't been my experience with them, but like, I've seen like these molds that I defined for myself, and that I try to fit into. And I think that that's something that every person listening can relate to. Like, we all have these places where we feel like, in comparison to where this person is
Correct.
or how this person does it, like, where am I at? And we've talked about that a couple times on here already. and
Mhm.
and yeah, for us to break out of those places, right? Because those places really are places of fear and insecurity,
Mhm.
and that's not the space we're supposed to live in.
So, and
Yeah.
God can use us in incredible ways when we are who He created us to be. Like,
Yeah.
and He wants us to be that person. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that word should, like, I should be this, or I should, like, this is who I should be, or what I should do. That word should has been a huge thing, even for me too. And it really does come from a place of fear at the end of the day. Like, this fear of, like, am I not measuring up? Am I like behind? Am I not fitting in? And so, yeah, thank you for just your honesty and vulnerability there, because I think that, like, as you shared, I was like, oh man, yeah, I've been there too. And like, I still struggle with that. Um, yeah, like on a weekly basis, this idea
yeah.
of like who I should be, or like those molds and stuff. I think that's really powerful. So for you, like, what does it look like to choose courage every day? What does it look like to move past that?
So for me, I do, there are three specific things that I do. Um, Maybe not every day, but at least 3 or 4 times a week. The first thing is I wake up and I pray that God can use me, my voice, my hands, and my heart in new ways. I find that when I set a routine, those molds start forming, and so to ask Him to like use me in a new way allows me to reminds me that there's more to who I am. Um, so that's the first thing I do. I also just try to be authentic, putting yourself out there and being real about who you are and where you're learning and growing and the mistakes you made. Just all of that in general is it takes bravery. It's hard to do that in a world where people can judge you for what you do. So I try to be as authentic as possible. And the third thing is just trusting that God's not done with me yet. That there's more to my story, and there is more ways He can use me. So just allowing that to open the doors and step forward in opportunities that I might not have taken before.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just want to sit at your feet and just like listen and learn. Truly, though, like, I just think
Mhm.
it's so good, the things that you've shared, and just, yeah, the honesty, the vulnerability in it all, I
Mhm.
think is so huge, because I don't think anything that you're sharing is something that people can't relate to, right? And like something that people haven't been like desperate to either break out of or step into.
Well,
Yeah.
and we all long to know that we're not alone in the world. Like all of this is about relationship, and
Mm.
if we're too busy comparing ourselves or worried what people will think, then we're never really diving into those deep connections. And I think that's so important, and that's what the world needs is deep
Mm.
connection.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Man, I know I have like so many like diverging questions that I'm like, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. But should probably stay on track. But no, it's so good, because I think that that idea of showing up um authentically, um and just choosing vulnerability in those moments, it's so good and so hard.
Mhm.
It's so hard to do that. But I think it is so important. You're right, like that those moments when we do show up, that is where deep connections can start to be forged, and yeah, can start to build. And we need more and more of that in our world.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So imagine that one of our friends who's watching is sitting across from you, and they're like, I want to choose this life. I want to be more courageous. What kind of advice would you give them, to a person that just wants to be more courageous in her everyday life?
So the first thing I would probably say is be you. And that sounds simple, but it's really hard. You have to understand who you are and who God created you to be. So that means always connecting with God, building that relationship and allowing Him to speak over you, who you are and who you were created to be. Um, but also for me, what I put into my mind is powerful. And so I'm a big music person, and I honestly would recommend, if you like music as well, a playlist of like anthems of where you can that get you going, that reminds you of truth, and whatnot. I think that's just so huge. And so for me, I do that usually dance parties of some sort.
Oh, I love that.
Who doesn't love a good dance party?
I
Come on.
know, right? It gets it going.
Man, that's so good though. You know what? It's so simple. I also love music. And I have playlists like that speak to other areas of my life, but not one that speaks courage. And I'm like thinking that like I need to do that. I need to make a playlist like that just reminds me to choose courage every day because music is so powerful to me, and I know to so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, it's so good. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us this week. You are amazing, and I genuinely would just love to keep chatting with you.
One day we'll be together.
One day. We're planning our Thailand trip
Fun.
now.
Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh. But it's been so good. It's been so good to hear your story and just your heart for others. It's so clear, just your heart for others is for relationship, but also just for their best. You seem like somebody that just wants to pull out the best in somebody and see others reach their potential. And I think that's beautiful. So thank you. Thanks for your life of courage, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been
Yeah.
so fun to chat with you guys.
Yeah, it's so good. And all right, guys, join us next week. We are diving into chapter 7 of the book, right, Christy?
Yes, you
Yes.
nailed it.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, join us next week. We'll dive into chapter 7. It'll be a great time. If you haven't picked up a copy of A Place Called Braverly, you can do that online wherever books are sold, or you can get a free ebook at our website, aplacecalledbraverly.com, which is awesome. The link is in the show notes at the bottom of this. But we're just so excited. We're grateful to be a part of your journey. Christy and I have talked about this, and we truly think of ourselves as friends in your corner who are cheering you on. And we just want to walk with you as you try to live courageously every day, as we all do, right? Because we're still learning that too. So thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week.